Hi kids! Welcome to our lesson for today. So remember last time we talked about the girl who had been taken from her home in Israel, and she was taken in one of the raids from Syria, and she was taken into the house of Naaman, who was a general for Syria's armies. And there she decided that instead of complaining and being sad and upset about where she was and what she had to do and what she had left behind, she decided to work hard and to live the life that she was going to be in. And because of this, when Naaman got sick, she was able to tell him about Elisha, who could offer him a cure. So then the king of Syria, who really liked Naaman, wrote a letter to the king of Israel and went and sent it. And the letter had talked about curing Naaman, and then Elisha heard about it, and Elisha said, send Naaman to me and I will be able to help him. So now let's see what happened to Naaman.
Okay, so Naaman was very excited because he thought finally he was going to get a cure for his disease, and he thought that when he got to where Elisha was, that it was going to be grand and Elisha would just come out. It would be so wonderful, and he would come out and move his hands and speak the magic words, and then
Naaman
he would be
cured.
But that was not what happened. So when Naaman got to where Elisha was, and he had all his chariots
and horses,
and
all of these big, expensive looking things.
Yes, so they parked outside where Elisha was, and Elisha did not even move. He did not even come out to meet his visitors. But instead, Elisha sent one of his servants called Gehazi to go and tell Naaman that he should go and wash himself seven times
in the river
Jordan.
And then when he came out, he would be cured.
Yes.
And Naaman got so angry
and
so upset. He was so upset. He was like, what's this prophet has told me to do? Doesn't he know we have cleaner rivers back home in Syria? So then he got back in his chariot and ordered his servants to take him home very quickly because he was so angry.
Yes.
But one of the servants, his servants looked at him and said, if the prophet had asked to do something very hard, you would have done it very, very quickly and you'd have tried your best.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you listen to him when he asked you to do something so
very
small and simple?
Yes.
Then Naaman stopped being angry and he realized he was trying to make himself important and look for big things where there were none. So he decided to take Elisha's advice. Then he went to the River Jordan and he washed himself seven times. And when he came out of the river the last time, he looked at his skin. Because remember, when he got sick, his disease had something to do with his skin. So he looked at his skin and it was soft and it was firm and it was like a child's skin. It was like brand new skin.
Yes.
And he was cured.
He was cured.
He was
finally
so
when he decided
happy
to follow what the prophet of God had said and washed himself in River Jordan 7 times. As dirty as he thought River Jordan was, the 7th time he came out and he looked at his skin and it looked like the skin of a baby. Very clean and very nice, and there was no more sickness in him. And he was so happy.
He was so happy because finally he was cured.
Yeah.
And then when he was cured, he got back out of the river and he went back to Elisha. Yes. And this time Elisha came out to meet him. And Naaman said, your God is the only true God. I will also be worshipping him because he's the only true God. Then Naaman tried to give Elisha gifts and riches and presents to say thank you for curing him. But Elisha said, I am a servant of God. Yeah. He is the one who cured you, so I won't take anything from you.
Yes. But Gehazi, who was Elisha's servant, had all of this, had what Elisha had said to Naaman, and he thought,
he's being very foolish.
Why is Elisha being very foolish? She's refusing all this money and all these gifts. No. So when Naaman had left and he was on his way back home, Gehazi decided he was going to follow Naaman and then tell him that he's come for the gifts, and then he would take
for the gifts and the presents. Yes, he told Naaman, when he caught up to Naaman and his horses and his chariots, he told him, some poor prophets have come to see my master, could we actually have the gifts and the presents and the riches so that he can give them to the poor prophets? And Naaman gave him the presents and the riches.
And he was very willing to even give him everything. So
and
he gave him
all the presents and the riches. And then Gehazi snuck back to his home, hid the presents and the riches, all those treasures, and then went back to Elisha pretending that nothing had happened.
But Elisha, as he was a prophet of God, already knew what Gehazi has done. So when Gehazi came back home, Elisha turned to Gehazi and he asked him, "Where have you been?" And Gehazi said, "Nowhere. I've just been around." Then Elisha said, "I know what you have done. I know of your greed and I know
lies.
And your lies, and that is not good." And he said, "Your punishment shall be that the sickness that was on Naaman is actually going to come on you."
Yes, so now Gehazi was going to suffer the sickness that Naaman had just been cured of.
Yes.
So kids, what we learn from this lesson is, one, from Gehazi, we learn that we should not be greedy and we should not tell lies, because now Gehazi was suffering this illness because he had been greedy. Instead of just letting God take care of him, he had been greedy, and then he went and he lied to Elisha. So now he was being punished. So children, we should always remember, do not be greedy. Don't want all of these things
for yourself,
especially when you don't need it, because God will always provide for you.
Yes, then something else we learn is that God's miracle are actually in even the simplest of things.
Yes,
because
it
doesn't have to be grand and big,
magical.
as Naaman had expected that his healing was going to be grand and big and magical and everything. It was a simple instruction that God gave him through Elisha, that go and wash yourself in River Jordan, that was considered to be dirty. And Naaman at some point thought that cannot be true, that cannot be a cure for me. But when he actually did it, he realized that God's miracles are actually even in the simplest of things and simplest of instructions that God gives to us. So we need to learn to listen to the voice of God, even when the thing that he's saying looks so simple, or maybe too simple to be true, but actually that is where your miracle lies. So now we are going to stand up and sing our song. So let's all stand up and sing this song.
So it's time for us to sing our song. Now we've just talked about Gehazi and how he was very greedy and how he told all of these lies. So now we are gonna sing a song that tells us, don't be greedy, trust God, because he knows what you need. So everyone stand up and help us sing this song.
Don't be greedy, greedy of money, money. Be thankful of what you have. If we only trust God truly, truly, He knows just what we need. Don't be greedy, greedy of money, money. Be thankful of what you have. If we only trust God truly, truly, He knows just what we need. Don't be greedy, greedy of money, money. Be thankful of what you have. If we only trust God truly, truly, He knows just what we need. He knows just what we need. He knows just what we need. Yeah!
Okay kids, it's time for us to do our craft. Now, we've just talked about how Naaman was told by Elisha to go into the river Jordan and wash himself 7 times. And when he came out, he was cured. And at first, he didn't think that was a good thing. But finally, when he actually accepted to do what had been said, the simplest thing, he came out and he was cured and he was very, very happy. So now, to remember this lesson and to remember this story, we're going to do a craft. And we're going to create Naaman washing himself in the river Jordan. And you're going to be able to put Naaman in and remove him and put him in and remove him, and you get to 7 times so that you can remember that God cured Naaman.
Yes.
Okay, so for this, what we have is we have different sizes of manila paper. On the first one, it was the smallest one. I drew a man. So I just drew his head and his neck and a bit of his shoulders. And this is going to represent Naaman. Then on the second piece of paper that I have, it's like this is going to be our background because I'm going to have a few trees that I'm going to draw over with a pencil and I'm just going to create it. And then the last one is the most important one because it is a blue piece of paper. Now your paper needs to be blue because this is going to be our River Jordan and rivers are blue. So let's start this craft. First thing I want you to do is I want you to take your blue piece of paper and I want you to cut it into more like the shape of a river. So the top needs to look like it's very rough and it's moving up and it's moving down. So you can cut it by hand or you can make the shape with a pair of scissors or anything. But make sure you cut it and it looks like a very jagged river. It's moving up and it's moving down and it's going crazy so that it looks like a river. So now we have two pieces and these are both pieces of a river. So when you put them together one over the other, it looks like the waves of an ocean. And that's what we want it to look like the waves that are going round the river. So I want you to take your first piece of paper, take one, it doesn't matter what size it is, take it and put it right underneath where you want to draw your tree. So I want you to leave enough space on top, very little space on top and then space at the bottom. Then take your stapler or your glue stick and just staple your river onto our background piece. Okay? And then you should have a piece that looks like this. It looks like it's floating and when you touch it, it kind of moves around a bit. So then you're going to take your next piece and you're going to lay that on top. So I want you to make sure that, it looks like a river and everything is flowing. But I want you to lay that on top of your first piece. And then just staple it. Make sure it's secure, but also still make sure that it's able to look like it's moving because it's supposed to be a river. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to take your pencil or your colors or your crayons or whatever and I want you to draw trees. I'm going to make my trees out of pencil and they're going to be very far. Some of them are going to be overlapping the river. You can't really see them and you don't have to. The most important part is that you have a big river that you can see. Once you've drawn your trees, you can color them if you want to make them more or you want to have more. But as of now, I want you to take your pencil or your pen or your marker or whatever and I want you to write down what our lesson for today is. So today our story, which is the most important thing, we need to know where our story is from. So our story comes from 2 Kings chapter 5. So at the very top, I want you to write 2 Kings 5. And that is where we find this story. And this is the story where Naaman gets cured. So we're going to write God cures Naaman. God cures Naaman, and that is our story. Now, our lesson for today was God's miracles can be simple. So let's write that. God's miracles can be simple. And also remember, we also talked about Gehazi and how he was greedy. So we should also write, we should not be greedy. Okay, so now that we have our paper and we have our River Jordan, I want you to now go into the most interesting part. So remember we had a piece that we had taken and we had drawn Naaman on. And this piece, we are going to use it and it's going to remind us of our whole entire story. So I want you to take your piece. And Naaman was told to wash in the river Jordan 7 times.
Yes.
So he goes into the river Jordan 1. He comes out. 2. And he comes out. 3. And he comes out. 4. 5, 6,
and
7. And when he came out of the river Jordan the 7th time, he was completely cured. He was completely healed.
Yes.
So now we have Naaman and we have our river Jordan. And this is our story and our craft and our lesson for today. So I want you to make sure you keep your piece of Naaman safe.
Yeah.
You can attach him to a string or you can just, put him inside
Yes,
the
you
river
can
Jordan.
actually
You can
attach
just
him to a
completely disappear. So whenever
just
you
pull
need
him down and bring him
up and down and up and down. But this is our craft for today and this is our lesson for today.
Yes.
So until next time.
See
Bye.